2 hours to spend. I did get a call from Seth Ellington from Big O. That might have been an email, I just made the notes. He wanted to know what the board was planning on doing about CMI. And my response was, I let him know when the meetings were. And as far as details on that, that's on the agenda, I guess, later too. As I indicated, we're in compliance with inventory 505.04. Already briefly discussed that, but that is something I want on the agenda until it's taken care of. A couple of real urgent things on there. Now, in 2008, I did a full book. Mr. Kern donated the printing of the photographs, and they're on CD, is what I did. So we have a photo catalog here of everything we had in the township at that time. In 2009, I wanted to update it, couldn't find the camera. I think it still existed. First item I looked for when I was going through there, couldn't find the camera or the card that goes in it. Couldn't find the township seal. Several compliance signs are missing, decals, that type of thing. So, that needs to be addressed. I assume the camera exists because the zoning inspector has provided some pictures on a disc that I had asked for.
How about that plaque that we got a couple, 3 years ago that's supposed to be mounted up down here?
We still have it.
Where's it at? I haven't seen it.
The same place it's always been. Park committee chairman has it. We need to talk about that too, Dan, under the, I want to make a note there for park committee, because they're kind of in limbo with the recent events. Excuse me, sir?
Keep going.
I think that's all I have on correspondence, but some of it will come up, especially the legal stuff as we go through here.
Alright, no more correspondence. A safety report, everything. Fire company, we spoke to the organizational meeting about Sean Buchanan being the fire inspector, which I did talk to him and said he'd do it. Again, go ahead and put the firehouse's phone number on there. If you want to, I contact you, 787-2466. And then he will receive the message from that if there's any questions.
That doesn't have expiration on it anyway, does it?
No, he just agreed to do it again. Anything with zoning?
Wait a second, under safety, there's some signs that were ordered for Mac Road, Cherry Hill, and Haunted Hills in the back. We need to get those up. So we need to order some brackets, wherever you bought those from, the appropriate brackets. I talked to the county about that because I know that they, in the past, their sign department there would work with us, but at this time they can't because of grants and things. If we purchase things from them, they're not in a position to be able to replace them. So, wherever you need to get them, we need to get those signs out there. So.
Excuse me, you worried about Haunted Hill, how about Cherry Hill? The stop sign's not there.
This isn't public comment time, sir.
I'm just asking a question.
I already mentioned under safety that loss prevention is probably a good place to look for the cost of jackets. And under safety, security falls under that too. I know there was a pile of keys here that night. Who has keys?
Nobody should have keys, I got the rest of them.
Okay. I contacted the Board of Elections at the request of poll workers. They said that Jack Hedges was listed as the contact to let people in for the Board of Elections.
Okay.
They said Don Watkins was listed, so I made sure I gave the current information.
I'm sure if they would have called this gentleman, if they would have referred him to one of us.
But it needs filed, so that's taken care of. On the inventory, I'd like to see an actual inventory of keys. I know when I was here before, I made copies. I made sure I told Jenny exactly how many I made and where they went. So I'd like to add that to the inventory.
Better get another book too.
Well, it's a spreadsheet there, Ben. See, this is it here.
Do you want to have the key to take pictures of that? Yeah. Alright, whatever you want to do.
Well, it's not about pictures. It's about accountability. because we need to know who has access and who doesn't.
I got access.
On those brackets, sign brackets, the signs will probably order out of there if you can find the right brackets and let me know what to order, I can get rid of that.
Okay, thank you.
That's good. As far as safety, we did have a kind of urgent issue come up, at the end of Cooper Road on a culvert. It was definitely a safety issue. The resident would have continued on, he could have lost the person in there or half his car. So, Jenny, did you get the receipts I asked for on that?
Yes.
Okay.
They've already been done before in the past by Mr. Turner. And
Basically, what I'm trying to do is get the history on this, because if you would put on the agenda to review the culvert.
actually, these are my copies, don't take them with you.
But if you can put on the agenda, we need to review our culvert policy, because in this situation, it was on private property. It was a safety issue, didn't happen overnight. You know, we need to know how to handle it, and we have to handle it the same with everybody. So if you can put that on the agenda, maybe we can work through that next month. Put that under safety, that's all.
That's it? You want the zoning?
Oh, wait a second, on the signs for safety, you want that under safety? Did you already just pencil that in somewhere?
We'll have to go off on it.
Okay. Well, this topic did come up at the county meeting. I've been following the legislation for quite a while on it. It has to do with safety standards for road signs. The problem with a lot of these things is they're unfunded mandates, but you still are required to show some due diligence and put a plan in place. And with that grant that I mentioned, the 2-hour webinar, eventually I'd like to get with some other jurisdictions to try to do a group grant where we can apply to cover some of these costs for coming into compliance. Planning for safer road signs and to move forward towards sign safety compliance in an effort to initiate a method for our township to show due diligence to comply with the newest sign regulations. I'd like to put forth a resolution. The county also has done something similar to this, and they suggested as well. To replace all signs at one time would be very costly, so putting a plan in place to gradually replace all of our signs to the reflective standards is the approach I feel we should take. In order to do this in a proactive manner, so it will not hit the township budget all at once, I suggest we do it over time. I already talked about unfunded mandates, but unfunded mandates like this still need addressed. Another potential benefit, like I mentioned, is putting this in place as a starting point for some grants. So as a start, I move all future purchases for any replacement road signs in Bowling Green Township shall be signage installed with or replaced by high-intensity prismatic reflective sheeting signs. This will meet ASTM Type 3 and ASTM Type 4 specifications. The Board of Trustees will keep an accurate inventory of all installed signs. The inventory will include the sign location, date of replacement installations, name of installer, sign description, sign size, and sign material. Moved on January 31st, 2012. So I move for that resolution.
Read it one more time, man.
Right here at the bottom. A lot of the other counties are a lot more stringent on theirs. They make a schedule of how many signs they're gonna have done by certain periods of time. And I think if we lock into that specific of a thing, we could get in trouble by not having the finances to do it. They do suggest this be done in January.
We don't have that many signs to do, really.
state highway,
Yep.
we still have to do. Alright, so this is just for all, future purchases, so they'll meet their standards, which we're gonna have to replace them anyway,
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna do it. anyway.
I'll second that.
Roll call Ben,
Yes.
Van Buren,
Yeah, we,
Jeff,
Yes, I got that written out for you, motion passed.
Is that it? Move on to Zerman,
Sure.
positive.
Okay, I have no permits for this month. The Adams Big O was settled, and as of right now, Mr. Adams is responsible to remove the home, the damaged house. The attorneys want to have a sit-down and discuss how to do it, when to do it. Doesn't want to have a big meeting, they want to have it with the same trustee that had the meeting prior to, which would be Ben, with the Big O attorney and Mr. Adams.
Pretty good, set up a date and time, we'll do it.
The attorney for Adams was looking at the end of February because he's in courts.
So Mr. Adams is gonna be responsible for removal of this house.
And he's gonna go over the entire hearing with you.
That's pretty good. Anything else?
Well, you do have 2 junk cars. I don't know if they're emergencies, but you have a junkyard on Midland Oil, and you have a potential junkyard on Open Woods. And if you want all the paperwork presented, 2-week junk car meeting.
Everyone set a date, start that back up, second Tuesday in the month. She can present that paperwork to us then, we can look at it.
I'd like to review these files first, I know what files are downtown now, but I don't know what's in any of them. On those lines, you didn't print that out, you don't have a copy. The legal stuff, okay. I guess that would fall under these files that they say they have. Open file 11209, property alleged to be junk in violation of certain laws and regulations. Before I would entertain any kind of meetings, I would like to see what we have in these files. Another open file was a partition fence matter, 11-625.
That's been resolved with the gutterages. Right, so that's been resolved by now.
some of it,
They put a fence up and then that,
yeah, it was in there all the way.
and then,
I think it should be our goal to address every open file. If it's been done, it needs closed. It just, the other one was trash hauling matters.
we got that on the agenda for a
should we
little
bring
bit.
back the zoning?
I'm just making sure that all the zoning covered there. That was, there were some questions that were asked about the zoning board itself. I guess there's a little bit of confusion. I was contacted by Patty Boland, and she had the impression that she was on that board, and she had at some point
Are
replaced.
we on zoning still, or am I
Yes,
done?
Yes, ma'am, we're on zoning.
I'm sorry, I'm talking to President. Am I done, sir?
No, not yet.
Okay, thank you, because I'm seeing we're on appeals now. We're
Okay,
on the commission, I was the zoning inspector,
okay,
so.
well, if I'm a little out
Kinda
of order, I
curious.
apologize, but I still have the table.
We still
No,
talking-
I was on the table. I was talking to them.
I'm
So
not
we
gonna
were doing
argue with
zoning.
you, I wanna make sure all the business.
I
is
would like to
done.
know if the zoning inspector's part is done, because it seems like we jumped to appeals. Can you help me here?
What do you have on the open file that we can't set up a meeting for the second Tuesday next month to get that rolling for her again on this?
Nothing's stopping you.
I'm asking what you have there.
That's all I have on it.
What's
There
the open-
was no,
That there's an open file?
yeah, there's no,
Pertaining to what?
I was told this had to do with, Laurel Hill Road. But beyond that, I have nothing else.
So one of the file that's gonna hold us up, which we can look into that in the meantime. Would it be alright to set a meeting for second Tuesday next month. We
Yes.
can review those files. Are you happy with that? 7 o'clock?
Is this another one of your hearings? Is that what it is?
No,
It'll
to
be,
review files,
yes, we reviewed the files that she has. How many, what did you say, 2?
2.
Is a meeting
The other
required?
ones are
Couldn't we just have
not ready
copies
to
of that
be
and all
presented
good?
to you yet.
Then we have to decide if we want her to pursue it.
How urgent is this?
Well, we started that before the second Tuesday, then after that. you have to
When
check.
somebody calls and complains, we're supposed to give them a response. They want something done. If you wanna see it,
That makes it-
before the meeting, you can drive right down Midland Oil, you'll see it. It's a junkyard.
I'd like to see the report itself instead of.
You can see that in 2 weeks.
That's why we're gonna have that meeting in 2 weeks.
You have to have a meeting to show us
Yes.
the report?
Yes. Because we don't want anybody thinking that we're targeting. So all the trustees get a look at it.
That's what I'd like to see.
So let's have a meeting.
That's what's gonna happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll set a meeting for second Tuesday,
I
7
got
o'clock,
the bathroom really bad.
to review those.
Just so you know, I'm
Tuesday.
here. 14th.
Take your pick.
What calendar are you looking at? You don't need me here.
I'll take them.
What is this?
It's the 14th.
February 14th at 7 o'clock.
It is.
More than pushing the snow that night.
Anything else, Ms.